It's Trial Tuesdays, and today we're talking about wrongful death with attorney David Aylor. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good morning.
Good morning to you too. And I would say these are cases that have gray areas because you're not sure, you are sure, you know what you feel like is right and wrong, but then again, the law always has something else in store for you.
Absolutely. Obviously, when a tragedy's happen, if you feel like that it's happened to your family member or your friend and there is someone else to blame, a lot of times people are going to look to the legal side of things to see what type of recovery they can make. And sometimes there's issues that can come into play where there's ultimately no recovery, but a lot of times, unfortunately, there are some mistakes made, and obviously that's what leads to the accident.
The best example right now that I can think of is that horrific accident that happened down in Florida on I-95. Long story short, there was a lot of fog, smoke mixed in the air, and it was at night. So they had shut down the highway.
Correct.
Then all of a sudden, DOT says, oh, it's fine, it's safe to open the highway back. And the accident happened. Family members died, one whole family left just one sister behind, and now a lot of them are trying to sue the state or whoever they can for that, what they say is negligence.
Well, and the negligence in that situation, or what they're claiming it to be, is coming from the highway department there in Florida, opening the highway back up. They closed it originally because of the smoke and the fog and just basically not being able to see at all on the highway. And then they reopened it. And that's where the question then lies as to why they reopened it, because it was after they reopened it, this horrible accident, so many people lost their lives, occurred. And then they closed it again, obviously, because it should have never been reopened. And now you have these families that are just, hurting across the board. Some lost, as you said, almost every member of their family. And a lot of people in the hospital, and they look back at the state and say, why was this highway ever reopened?
Because this never had to happen,
Absolutely.
or so that's what they're saying. You've got issues like that, also other highway issues. You talk about big rigs all the time, negligence there. What should people do, though, if they feel like maybe a family member did die in an accident like that, but they're not quite sure how they can prove it?
Well, a lot of times the first thing you need to do, and it's tough to do, soon after the accident has occurred, is you need to get it looked into. Usually the best way to do that is contact an attorney. They may have an investigator in-house, or they can bring in an investigator to look at the accident. For instance, like a tractor trailer type of accident, you want to pull the police reports, that sort of thing, because even though sometimes someone may not be cited for a traffic violation for every specific reasons, they could still be held liable. It's hard to think about that, when you're mourning the loss of someone. However, the quicker you try to start taking a look at something, the better it is for the case.
Oftentimes it's easier to have someone already on standby. If you already have a family attorney, you just call them and say, what should we do about this?
Absolutely. You do see a lot of people do that within the medical field when things happen, and those cases are a lot tougher to prove for a number of different reasons than per se accident cases as a whole, just because of the laws related to medical malpractice. But particularly when it comes to traffic accidents, things like that, issues at work, particularly people that work in construction type of industries, you really have something that you can look into there if someone either actually passes away from the accident or maybe loses a limb, some sort of debilitating injury.
Right. But you said do it as quick as possible. What if someone's watching this right now and they say, that might be something that I should have looked into and I didn't, and it's maybe a year later? Do they still have a case?
They still have a case, absolutely. The statute of limitations is about 3 years, depending on some specific circumstances and when you realize it. So, if it's not within a couple of weeks, that doesn't mean it goes away altogether. But the sooner that you get reviewed and look into the situation, the better it is. Maybe people's memory-wise, what notes, what recordings, if there's cameras, that sort of thing, the better.
And would you say that just make sure you keep all of your records? Anything that you might have from the accident, medical accidents as well,
absolutely.
Keep your records.
And also keep anything that's documented from if you talk to any industry or anybody connected to it, through email, that sort of thing, because they may have explanations that, could later come into some sort of litigation for you.
Gotcha. Well, David Aylor, some really great advice for us. We really do appreciate you coming out.
Thanks for having me.
All right, well, when we come back, you'll never guess who we're talking to. Chef Kimberly is in the house, and it's her birthday, so we're making dessert. Stay with us.